YB stays on your neck.
Yo, my dons, make sure you hit that like button, comment, subscribe, and obviously hit the bell for notifications. So, as you've seen by the title of this video, Frank Fish Eyes Warren has reacted to the Dillian Cover-Up Whyte and Eddie Cover-Up Hearn situation. And actually, I wasn't going to read the Frank Warren one originally because I thought this guy's going to be just hating and whatnot. But I tell you what, it is actually smart to read people who are inversely invested in what's going on, if that makes sense. Because you got to remember, Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren, they're insiders, they're promoters, they know how things are and are not meant to go. So I've said before, I'm not a boxing historian or someone who knows the processes and whatnot. So when Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren do bad things, they expose each other and they take angles that us general public wouldn't have been able to come from. Anyway, let's get to it. So it says here, during fight week, Dillian Whyte was informed of an adverse finding in a recent anti-doping test, and nearly all concerned were made aware of this also. So Dillian knew, his promoter Eddie Hearn has admitted he knew, and the British Board of Boxing Control and UKAD were obviously in the picture. UKAD are exclusively appointed to the board to handle all anti-doping matters under the World Anti-Doping Agency WADA protocol. Now, this was the part that gets interesting now. He then says, normally, under these circumstances, a boxer is immediately suspended. He is given 7 days to respond. Of the two samples taken, A and B sample is retained to be tested at the request of the boxer at a later date if he refutes the findings in the A sample. In the meantime, press conferences continued with the as if nothing had happened. They continue to sell the fight against Oscar Rivas to be broadcast on pay-per-view. Strangely, most athletes wait months to have a hearing, but on this occasion, a hearing took place on Saturday morning, which was kept secret for reasons we don't know. Now that there's interesting. The first part I read is extremely interesting, where he says, under these circumstances, a boxer is immediately suspended. See, that's something that I wouldn't have even thought about. From what Eddie Hearn and Dillian Whyte have said, it's normal for someone to get an A test and then quickly have a hearing. This actually puts a lot of meat on the bones here, and it makes sense. It does make sense. When you hear of someone popping, it doesn't happen in 2 days. It doesn't happen in 24 hours. And it's not... I'm sure it becomes public information. Look at Jarrell Miller. That's what I don't understand. Eddie Hearn said, oh, yeah, there's a lot of things that have been said that aren't fair, and Dillian Whyte's private information's been disclosed. But when Jarrell Pig Babe Miller popped, his A sample results were released to the public. Because I remember, his A sample results were released, and he came out and said, oh, this is a travesty. Oh, I've been set up. I want to do my B sample. I want to do my B sample. He was adamant on it. And then, I think a day or two before the B sample came up, he actually put his hands up. But the point of the matter is, the B sample was eventually done, and he was exposed on the A sample. So why was Dillian Whyte not exposed on the A sample? What's the difference here? And like Frank Warren says, Frank Warren alleges that a boxer is immediately suspended. He's given 7 days to respond. So, on that, all I can take from... Normally, when you're given 7 days... Well, I don't know. I wish, in a way, Frank had given more information on that. Does he mean it takes 7 days to process, or what? Because Frank Warren says it takes 7 days, or you're given 7 days to respond, but if he was immediately suspended and then immediately responded, could it have sped things up? I don't know. That's what I'm not sure. But the way Frank's written this implies that Dillian Whyte should have been suspended. There's no way he should have been popped on the 17th and fighting on the 20th, with no one knowing, by the way. Because he says here, press conferences and whatnot continued, which he says is fishy. And then he actually goes on to say, so strangely, most athletes wait months to have a hearing, but on this occasion it took place on Saturday morning, which is quite odd. I've got to be honest, man. Think about the Jarrell Pig Babe Miller situation. Let's get it straight. there was no hearing took place. It was a simple case of he popped and he was he was guilty. That's quite interesting actually. Yeah, why was Jerome Miller guilty, but Dillian Whyte's alleged innocent? I don't get that. I guess they can argue, well, they had the hearing, and that's what's fishy. I think what's fishy is the fact it's all gone on in behind closed doors. It just doesn't look good. Because, like I say, let's take... I'm not an expert, but Frank Warren, he's an insider. He's been doing this for 40 years. Now, I'm not saying he's squeaky clean. I'm sure if it was his fighter, he'd be doing the same. Nonetheless, though, the fact that he's an opposing force, it does bring new things to light. What I'm finding odd is, why is it, if we use the Jerome Miller case as the precedent, why is it when he popped on his A sample, it was all public, everyone knew? Why is it when Dillian Whyte A sample popped, it was all brushed under the carpet and all rushed through? I don't get that at all. It should be consistent. If you pop, you pop. Rightly or wrongly. Because remember, at the point Jarrell's A sample came through, he was pleading his innocence, the same as Dillian Whyte was. So why wasn't Jerome Miller given the chance to have a hearing within a day and whatnot? I don't get that. I don't understand the difference as such. Because the bottom line is, Jerome Miller had similar substances to what Dillian Whyte had. D-Bol's a top one. D-Bol's similar to or comparable to HGH or EPO. It's one of them ones there in that top category. So I'm struggling to understand. I'm struggling to understand what's going on. However, in Dillian Whyte's defence, I've heard that VADA didn't pop him. But then again, I've also heard that VADA weren't actually tested him. I've heard that UKAD were doing the testing on VADA's behalf, but I find that hard to believe because Eddie Hearn said they were paying VADA the extra money to get the full testing. So I'm confused. There's so much details here that haven't been addressed, and that's why I'm angry at Dillian Whyte, because he could have... I understand you've got lawyers, but you should come out really and fill the gaps with the facts. The only time you should remain lawyered up, in my opinion, is when you ain't got no facts and you're telling lies and you don't want to entrap yourself. That's my opinion. Especially in these cases, it should be pretty cut and dry. Just tell the facts, what happened. Yep, a test came up positive on my A sample. I denied it, I took it to hearing, and they found my B sample was clear, so they put me through to fight. I don't know, something like that. Does that make sense? Give us some... Explain... or what we should be hearing now, in my opinion, is... Explain why Dillian Whyte was allowed to fight. Whatever circumstances they are. I want to see the information that the board concluded on. What information did they have to tell them it's okay? It could be, okay, well, the A sample didn't... The A sample was a John Jones 2.0, where it was that pulsating effect. Where D-Bol was pulsating in his blood. It could be, I don't know, tell us some sort of lie. Brush it over somehow. Does that make sense? I just don't think it's right that these allegations can be put out there and then no one is none the wiser. Did it happen or did it not happen? And from what we've heard anyway, from the leaked Eddie Hearn and Dillian Whyte conversation, which I uploaded earlier, from that, it's clear that the hearing definitely did happen. The hearing happened, and the 17th, the popping happened. That's factual stuff. He popped on the 17th, and he had a hearing. It's fact. So I want to know, if he popped on the 17th, and he was cleared on the hearing on the Saturday, what information did they see in 2 days to clear him? It could be a B sample. That's what I'm thinking. The B sample must have come back clean. Because otherwise, if the B sample's dirty, and the A sample's dirty, how was he fighting on Saturday? And this for me does reek. It reeks of, and people have said this for a long time. Oh yeah, money corrupts boxing, but I never really believed it, to be honest. And it does get me asking why the questions, if I'm really honest with you, because how is it if he popped on the 17th, which seems to be the case? How is he fighting on the Saturday? Regardless, it seems as if they're protecting the institution of cash over integrity. Let's not mess this pay-per-view event up. Let's, by all means necessary, get the pay-per-view event on, and then we'll deal with any backlash afterwards. In fact, if it wasn't for Thomas Hauser, there wouldn't have been any backlash, because they would have got away with it, essentially. So, I don't know. It's all fishy, man. It really is fishy. And by the way, Eddie Hearn was looking very sheepish the day after. In his IFL TV interview, he was looking pretty sheepish. He looked like he looked a bit shot, if I'm honest with you. Anyway, let's finish off what Frank Fisher had to say. He says, but the one person this should not have been kept from is Oscar Rivas. Everybody concerned had a duty of care to inform him of this situation. He was the one getting into the ring with someone who nobody disputes at this moment had tested positive for a PED. And once again, this is what I'm trying to say. Dillian Whyte says, I'm very disappointed with the things that have been said. I don't think he is disappointed. I don't think he can come out and say, I didn't, because all that's been alleged is you popped for D-Bol on the 17th. That's all they've alleged. So, the fact he hasn't come out and said that's not true, there is no inaccuracies been said. Did you or did you not pop for the 17th? If you did pop, what could you have told them? Oh yeah, well Dillian Whyte came in and this is what Eddie Hearn said. Oh yeah, well Dillian Whyte came into the board meeting 2 days after his pop and brought in extra information and that cleared him. Wait there. Let's get something straight. Did the A sample have D-Bol in? That's the first thing. Did it have it in? If yes, did the B sample have D-Bol in? If yes, guess what? There's no information. There's no Eddie Hearn going on about. Oh well, he brought in supplementary information. Well, listen, there's no information you can bring in. If the A sample's dirty and the B sample's dirty, that's that. I don't understand it as well. And I'll tell you what else smells fishy. The fact they brought the hearing through and cleared Dillian before that. People are saying, oh, we haven't even checked the B sample yet. But we know, or I've read, it only takes 24 hours or 20 to 48 hours for a B sample to be checked. So I'm questioning, if he popped on the 17th, why didn't they check that before the 20th? Fair enough, if you want to be super quick, that's fine, but make sure you do the process properly. Check the B sample super quick. Don't be bringing him in for a hearing and not checking the B sample. That's sloppy. It should be impossible. How can you rule and make a decision before you've checked the B sample? Now, it may be the case they have checked the B sample. It may be the case that the reason they cleared him was because the A had trace amounts in, which is what people have alleged, and the B sample was clean. That maybe it's rare, but if that's the case, it actually makes sense what's happened here to an extent. However, I still believe that Rivas, cleared or not, should have been told. If he's cleared, he should have been told. Why not? You've been cleared. Legally wise, Rivas would still have to fight. Rivas can't pull out if you've been cleared. He would be in breach of contract. Facts. But yeah, let me know what you guys think anyway.